In this video, we'll go over 8 of my favorite work productivity tips that I genuinely use every day and save me hours of time. First up, we have creating cover pages with links, and the idea here is to have all of the key data linked together in one cover page for a project. For example, if we take a look over here on Excel, you can see that we have this file with a cover page and 3 sheets with the relevant data. So I have the cover page title, right below it we have a simple table of contents, just linking the 3 sheets that we have and explaining what they do. And then down below over here under resources, we have all of the key data linked. So for example, the data source, we have a research paper that maybe we cited. And then down below over here, we have the contact details for our group chat and the project lead, which could be the manager. And finally, we have some previous presentations from past quarters that we can reference in case we want to. This is in Excel, but the same thing goes, for example, in PowerPoint. You can see over here that we have the header slide, and right below it towards the bottom, we have all the relevant links that people can click through to. Sometimes you might see this on the bottom like this, or on the right hand side, or even in the notes right here that are usually right below the slide, which you can stretch out like so. And if we do this in Excel and in PowerPoint, odds are in Word we have something similar as well, so we could have the relevant resources right on top of the file too. Overall, this is going to save you a lot of time from people asking questions like where is the original data source or where is the citation for this. All of that is going to be compiled into one. Secondly, we have computer shortcuts, and a lot of people are very focused on Excel specific shortcuts or PowerPoint specific ones. But in reality, there's also the computer generalist shortcuts, which are useful across all platforms. So here's some of my favorite ones. Firstly, if you want to create a split screen, you can just use the window key. So window left is going to split it on the left side, and then we can click on something else on the right, and you can see we have that perfect split. Now it's split into two, but we can split it further just by selecting one side and window up arrow, and let's select this part here. And so you can see that we have a lot of customization and it's all perfectly split. In fact, we can move it around like so to customize even further, putting it all back to full screen here. And if you want to go back and forth between your most recent tab and the current one, you can just press the Alt Tab key, Alt Tab again. That way you can go back and forth in case you're referencing a specific number. Then if you want to open up the screenshot tool, you can just press the Shift Window S. That's going to activate it for you automatically, and all you need to do is just drag your cursor wherever you want, and let's say it takes a screenshot just like that. Next up, we have the F2 key to rename files. So this is by far the fastest way to do it. You just select any folder and press the F2 key, and now we're ready to rename anything. Now if you want to navigate like going back and forth, you can press the Alt left arrow to go back and the Alt right arrow to go forward, much like you would do in a browser. Finally, if you want to look for something inside of an article, you can just press the Ctrl F to search for anything. Let me just look for Spain here, that doesn't show up. When I type United, now we have a lot of different searches. These are just a few shortcuts, but let me know down in the comments if you want a full video just on this. Quite similar to shortcuts, we have the easy access, and this is super useful if you often reference a particular folder. Like let's say we're always using this folder right here called Company Secret Project. Well, if that's the case, instead of having to go to the desktop every time and finding it, you can just drag and drop it over here to the sidebar. And this way you can see that it stays pinned, so we can always reference it a lot faster. From here, you can always just right click and unpin in case you don't want it anymore. This same idea applies to a browser as well. For example, let's suppose over here under Edge, we have Wikipedia, and that's the one that we typically like to use. So we could create a bookmark or a favorite here by pressing Ctrl D. Now we're gonna have it as a favorite and click on Done. So whenever we press Ctrl T to open up a new tab, you can see that we have Wikipedia here as one of our first options. So we can click on that and get right into it. Speaking of productivity tips, HubSpot has kindly provided us with a free 20-page PDF on how to be more productive at work. You can download it using the link in the description below. This PDF will help you save hours of work by implementing good work habits, teaching you how to have more efficient meetings, and even learning science-based productivity concepts. That's not all though. If you also work remotely, there's some tips specifically for that as well. I personally found the Pomodoro technique to be most insightful, as I now know when I should be taking breaks and for how long in order to maximize my productivity. Overall, I highly recommend you head over to the description below to download this completely free guide from HubSpot to level up your productivity, and thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Next up, we have creating recordings, which makes a lot of sense if you have tasks that you don't do very often, like maybe once a quarter, or even if you want to delegate something. Instead of setting up a meeting and waiting for the other person to take notes, all you need to do is create an actual demo yourself. So record yourself as you do all the steps with audio. This way they'll be able to reference it not just once, but anytime they feel lost, they can always go back to that resource. Best part is, even if the person you delegate to leaves the company, that resource is still there as a piece of content, so you can pass it on to the next person. If your company allows for external tools, I think Loom is a great option. They're not paying me to say this, it's just a tool that I use pretty much every day. Using their interface, you can find the transcript version, you can add some comments to a recording, speed up a video, and even when we record, we can choose to customize whether we want to see our face or not, which part of the screen we want recorded, and much more. If your company doesn't allow for external tools like this one, you can always use the built-in recording tool in your computer. Next up, we have creating email templates, and realistically, most workers have to send a similar email every week or every month, like for example, what could be a market update. If that's your case, here's a pretty cool trick. Under your Gmail, let's say, head over to this cog icon and see all settings. From here, we're gonna want to go to advanced all the way to the right, and we want to enable templates. We'll click on enable there and go to save changes. Now when we create a new email to compose, we want to go over to these three dots and you'll find the template option. So first, let me just draft something up. So you can see I've just quickly written an email, and let's suppose this is a template we want to use for every week, in this case for the weekly market update. Then we can just click on these three dots, go under templates, save draft as template, and save as new template. Let's call this one something like test for the time being. And now I'm just gonna open up a new email. Right here, all I need to do is go back to these three dots, and under templates, I'm gonna reference the test one, and it generates all of that text that we had before. That's the idea with templates in email. If you wanna learn how to do this in Excel as well for creating Excel templates, check out this video somewhere up over here. Staying on the topic of emails, we have schedule send. Suppose you have this market update that you need to send every Monday, but in reality you're done on Friday, so you're ready to send it then. Instead of having it as a to-do list on Monday, what you can do is head over to your email, and typically right next to the send button you have this drop down. So we want to click on that and go to schedule send, and here you're gonna find a ton of different options on when is the best time. You can even customize them further according to what you want. Next up, we have saving up, and this is a best practice that a lot of companies use, and if you don't, you probably should be using as well. So over here, you can see that we have this folder, and within it, we have this project V1 sheet. When I go to make any changes to this V1, it means that anything that was there previously is going to get updated, so we won't be able to go back in time. Instead, what you want to do is just copy and paste it, and rename it with the F2 key there, and just call it V2. This way you'll make all the changes here, but if someone wants to go back to the original version, they can always select the V1 again. So essentially this allows for tracing back in time in case there's an error. Once it's fully completed, instead of V and a number after, it's gonna be renamed to VF for the final version. Finally, we have this concept called Parkinson's law. And no, this isn't Parkinson's disease, and it's not related to that. It's actually a term by Parkinson, a historian, that stated that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. In other words, if you're given a 3-day deadline on a project, odds are you're going to complete it in exactly 3 days. Same thing goes with any school project. All the kids are always rushing till the very last day to finish everything up. That's why setting up a tighter artificial deadline should help you boost your office productivity. It's definitely been the case for me. I didn't really think it was true until I tried it, and it does indeed work. So make sure you give it a shot. To learn how to become more productive in Excel, check out this video over here or take our Excel course over here. Hit the like and that subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.